Okay, welcome back. Yes, indeed. We've got Mr. Segun Ajayi joining us this morning. He's the DG of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Okay, so let's get to this Africa Continental Free Trade, this significant event which happened yesterday. But yes, you also did give your perspective on, much as it's a lofty one, but you did talk about some key challenges besetting us that we need to highlight. So give us that broad perspective of what this means to manufacturers and Nigeria.
Okay, so thank you very much again for having me. I think what happened yesterday marks the beginning of a journey that promises to be exciting if we do the right things, and also a journey that would make us to also take a back seat in terms of continental trade if we do not do the right thing. So it marked the commencement of guided export, if I must say, within the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area agreement that was signed way back in 2018. What it means is that under the rules that have been set by the AfCFTA, Nigeria has now formally joined the league of a select group of nations that can trade utilizing the protocols, the rules of origin, to be able to enjoy what all participating companies in a free trade area should enjoy. So, I mean, on the one side, it is a good day for Nigeria, it is a good day for Africa. And the Secretary General of AfCFTA highlighted the importance of Nigeria in terms of ensuring continental economic integration and for boosting trade within African nations. So, but what we have said, and I think that's what you are referring to, is what we need to do to have a beneficial engagement and what those constraints that could limit our possible performance. And they are not too different from those things we have always mentioned. First of all, I mean, from my own perspective, considering where I'm coming from, it has to be those constraints that have limited our performance as a manufacturing sector in the economy. Because basically what we're concerned about is trade in goods, that's manufactured products. And the baseline consideration we are having is that we should produce what is consumed in Africa. So what is going to be traded in among the 54 countries that have so far signed on, I mean, remaining only one, that have signed on, that what should be traded should not be products from third countries. And by third countries, I mean countries that are outside of the continent. So they should not be products that are sourced from there. And in order to ramp up on competitiveness, we should even ensure that there are those products that are either produced within the continent or that have value chain across countries, all located within the continent of Africa. And those constraints will be infrastructure, will be security, will be cost of production, will be multiple taxation and across the three tiers of government. It will be interagency collaboration in terms of regulation and putting in place trade facilitating measures that will ensure that we are not only able to produce at scale, but we are able to produce at competitive price that will guarantee market access in those other countries of Africa. Because every other country is not just waiting for products from Nigeria, they will be expecting that when those products do come, and we have the capacity to do that, they don't remain on the shelves. They are able to compete with those products that are made locally in those countries and those products that are coming from third countries that have to pay the duty that we don't have to pay.
You also spoke about vital market intelligence and the reason you highlighted it, but we thought that it is, I mean, corporations and businesses can handle that themselves. Are you asking that the government weigh in on that? What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, so market intelligence that we talk about is at a global scale. So you are able to understand the investment environment. You are able to understand the performance of local industries in the country you want to penetrate, so to say, or in the market you want to access. You want to know what the strength of third countries, especially, and even countries within Africa. What is their strength in that country? It is not possible for any manufacturer to be able to have the capacity and to have access to institutions, agencies, regulations, individuals, and even collaboration among embassies, for instance, that will guarantee that that market intelligence is secured. Don't forget that many of the industries we are expecting to export out of Nigeria are also small-scale industries that have limited capacity to be able to engage in extensive market surveillance. So, and it is what commercial attaches and economic desks in foreign countries do. So when we are asking for intelligence, we are necessarily saying that we should put our embassies into good use, so that from here, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will collaborate with the coordinating office for the AfCFTA to make available to every willing investor in those countries or every willing exporter to those countries to be able to have those market information that will allow them to take informed business decisions, even in terms of choosing your partners. I mean, because they can help you to source information about those that you want to be your partners or to be your collaborators or to have equity investment or to even receive your goods. You need to be able to know the political, social, and economic situation in those countries. So those information should be made available, readily available to anyone who is interested in investing. And I think that will be the beauty of ensuring that Nigeria is able to take a front seat in terms of those that will benefit. I mean, Nigeria will spend a lot of money liberating countries in Africa, helping them to survive difficult situations and so on. We should get dividends from our investment in those areas. We should be able to gain economic benefits for the country.
Initially, there had been reluctance on the part of Nigeria to sign the AfCFTA, and we understand that was because our manufacturing sector felt that that was a very dangerous thing to do at the time, and that we needed to put some things together in-house before we could put pen to paper with regards to AfTA. So that happened. We took time before we eventually signed up to it, and now, excuse me, yesterday we witnessed a very significant milestone. Can you tell us in very clear terms, was that a shipment into Nigeria, or was Nigeria shipping outside of the country?
Okay, so the position we took at that time was that we needed to know what we were going into, because at the time we had that apprehension, Nigeria had not done any country-specific study to tell us how prepared we are, or to even ascertain whether it was going to be beneficial for us to sign, because we shouldn't just sign because we're Africa, we are the biggest country. No. We needed to know whether we are going to benefit. So we have since crossed that. Nigeria has done the study. We know what we need to do to be able to benefit from it. And I think here we are today. So pertaining to what happened yesterday, so what we witnessed is some companies in Nigeria, they obtained their certificate to indicate that, yes, their products are certified, they have the rules of origin to be able to qualify to export out of Nigeria, enjoying those benefits that any country that is inside a free trade area will enjoy. So what we saw was an export of some of Nigerian products outside of the country under this free trade area agreement. And it was witnessed by representatives of Mr. President, our Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, the President of MAN. I was there as well. The Secretary General of AfCFTA was there. And it was a very good moment for us. And I think even the Secretary General himself said that now he's very happy that unarguably the most important country in the continent has signed on.
So,
effective.
I mean, yesterday I couldn't help but notice the optimism, the joy that seemed to be at that particular event. Because I was speaking with Mr. Awolowo, Mr. Segun Awolowo afterwards. He said, "Oh, the question has never been whether Nigeria was ready for AfCFTA. It was whether AfCFTA was ready for Nigeria, because we had the potential to take over." But looking at where our manufacturing sector currently is, looking at the challenges that continue to beset local manufacturing and some of the complaints that you have. I mean, you and you represent on behalf of your members year in, year out. Do you really share his optimism? Would you say that we've surmounted enough of our challenges to really be able to take advantage of what AfCFTA presents?
No, I don't. I think it's work in progress. We have obviously not surmounted all the challenges that we have. I mean, because like I've always said, nobody, I mean, my brother in Abidjan, in Cote d'Ivoire, is not going to buy the product that is made in Nigeria and exported to Cote d'Ivoire because it was produced by one black guy in Nigeria or his brother. He's going to buy if it makes pocket sense for him to be able to buy. Which means that in terms of quality, in terms of price, in terms of availability, and in terms of the utility he will derive from buying those products satisfies his choice, and is also a better choice. So we needed for our export to be competitive and to have utility to deliver value. And those constraints that you rightly said we have always created will not allow us to completely enjoy that pride of place. So what my dear brother have said is spot on, because most African countries are also facing similar challenges with their manufacturing. And in Nigeria, we have clearly identified the steps that we needed to take for us to be able to have a beneficial participation in the under the AfCFTA. It's not just enough for you to be able to put your goods on a ship and ship to other countries or on a truck and so on, but it is how that product is going to perform in that country. Is it going to remain on the shelf and reach its shelf life and expire? Or is it going to go there and displace existing products or compete favorably with other products that are coming from 53 other countries in the first instance, and then third countries, Asia, Europe, America? That's what the trade is all about. When all is said and done, the battle is in the marketplace. It's the choice that the customer, that the buyer in Kenya, in South Africa, in Morocco, South Africa, in Morocco, South Africa.
So, one of the things that's playing in my head, Mr. Jai Kadiri, is along the line of this initiative that we hear from the federal government concerning the food sector. I'm just wondering how it plays out. Now, on the one hand, we've started this initiative that you talked about. So how does this, after implementation, this beginning, how does it play out in the light of the federal government opening our doors for the next 5 months for importation of food?
Okay, so I mean, we've always had challenges about how you manage your fiscal policy regime with the agreements that you have signed with maybe bilaterally or multilaterally. You have an emergency situation in Nigeria. We face insecurity issues that have significantly affected our capacity to even feed ourselves, because many people now are not able to afford food. So we have an emergency situation in our hands. And so I believe that that's why the federal government has taken this decision that will be able to remove duty from those items that have been identified as food items. I believe whether or not they are coming from within the continent or outside of the continent. On the face of it, it will look as inconsistent with the agreement that we have signed under the AfCFTA. But like I said, this is an emergency situation, and I believe that the right steps will have been taken at the level of government to be able to seek the acceptance of this arrangement that we are making in order for us to be able to solve this problem. The argument about how sustainable and how we should manage this situation is critically important, and I think that is the value I'm deriving from your question. We needed to ensure that the intervention of government in this respect is short-lived, monitored, and effectively implemented. Otherwise, we might even kill local initiatives. Like I said, this is a different thing, and so that I don't digress, because it's critically important for us to understand it. But as far as relating it with the AfCFTA is concerned, it is obviously something that was not anticipated, but it's an emergency situation you have. And I mean, the president, the federal government is spot on. You must feed your people must survive. And so we need to be able to work out an arrangement that permits those kind of interventions. I believe it will be shortly.
You know, okay, well, it's going to take about 5 months. 150 days is a little less than 5 months, but that's what the release has said. Now, I'm also looking at, you know, some of the things that are being exported, and I'm just wondering if these are the best that we can do, in your opinion, as a manufacturer, and whether or not we actually have the capacity to scale up long term. I was looking at some figures this morning, and I'm seeing that per official figures and even some credible information from Nigerians who ought to know, the value of our bitumen is something in the region of $1 billion. The value of our hides and skins, the leather industry in Nigeria alone, is about 17-point-something million dollars. The value of our livestock is something in the region of $150 billion and all of that. So I'm just wondering, in your opinion, given the things that are being put out, is that the best we could have done?
No, I mean, we can do much more. And these are just the little beginnings that we are seeing. It took a lot of the, I mean, when Mr. Awolowo was gleefully saying that we have commenced, I'm sure he was relying on the great effort he has had to make for us to reshape the action committee and then to get all the complementing agencies, both from the public and private sector, to be able to ensure that we get to this level. I mean, because most African countries are starters like us.
Well, the question, my apologies, Mr. Ajayi Kadiri. The question is actually because we have certain strengths that are known to us all. I mean, it's no-brainer. Just the other day, not too long ago, I was getting information that the so-called Italian leather actually originates from Nigeria. All of the tannery is done right here in Kano State in Nigeria. And then it goes out to, you know, some other country, and it's called Italian leather. Now it is called genuine leather, not just Italian leather. No one is going to put the Nigerian leather on it. So that's the background of that question. We have some low-hanging fruits that if we scaled up infrastructure, we wouldn't even have to go anywhere, you know, we won't have to struggle much. So that's the basis of the question that I'm asking.
Yes. So I was only trying to build a background to it. But so to answer directly, yes, we can scale. And what we have just noticed, they are the first set of people that are embarking on that expo. Many more will obtain their certificate of origin from the government of Nigeria to be able to export. So what we just saw yesterday was a showcase of the first group of companies to export. There will be several opportunities. And don't forget that the leather which was spot on that you mentioned about Kano, the industries that we have there, I mean, they are part of the few that determines the international price of leather. So you are right. And those ones will be expected to join. But you must understand also that they will only export to African countries finished leather that will be able to make use of the product. That is one. And secondly, that there will be expression in terms of the capacity of those companies to offtake from the Nigerian company. You see, you cannot legislate trade. The average investor or the average manufacturer in Nigeria will by himself, once he has the right information, will by himself be able to penetrate those markets, will determine where those products will go. So these are just the beginning, and I believe that having made a public show of this, and we are going to be working very closely with the coordinating institution, that's Mr. Awolowo's institution, to be able to scale up. Many of our sectors, for instance, even between yesterday and today, have started to ask questions about how to have maybe a workshop on how to immediately expand the scope of the trading. As a matter of fact, even not all the rules of origin has been completed. And the preparations for effective takeoff of AfCFTA is still going on all around the continent. Those of us that are now practicing this guided trade initiative, I don't think we are up to 20 years out of the 54 countries that have signed up. So this is just the beginning. It's taking quite a long time. I mean, we signed on 2018. The continent started 2018. But you will see that we are gradually building momentum. And that's to tell you the challenges we have had to overcome for us to even get an agreement to trade amongst ourselves. Because like we said before, nobody told us not to trade amongst ourselves before we brought in AfCFTA. It is just those binding constraints, infrastructure, which we have not spoken about, the rules, which we have not spoken about, even the readiness of the customs and the institutions in all the countries need to be put right for us to be able to have effective trading. But we are making incremental progress, and that is what yesterday's event signifies, that in spite of all the odds, we are beginning to take steps.
Okay. Well, Mr. Jaika, there are so many other issues to raise with you, and I guess, as you have said, the coming days will hopefully be very interesting. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Segun Ajayi Kadiri is the Director General, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we brought you some information the other time about what's happening at the University of Ibadan, and the students are raising issues. We also understand there are some developments, Chamberlain.
Well, yes, indeed. Those students who had signed the protest resolution from the University of Ibadan. But remember, they did put up a statement as well as that protest indicating this protest was going to go on. Yes, now this statement that you see here, the names here, Bolaji Aweda, who happens to be the president, and then the Ogundijo Bolaji Japheth, the general secretary, and Okpegbemi Busoye, who happens to be the speaker. Now we understand that the three students mentioned in this student union protest announcement have been arrested and are facing a case with the students' disciplinary committee of the University of Ibadan due to the protest, which they say they carried out, as you also see there. And now we also understand that if it goes like that, it might be serious.
I think it's actually a mix-up. So in this particular statement, there are actually students who are mentioned. The student union condemns the victimization of 3 students of the University of Ibadan, Aduwo Ayodele, Olamide Badegeshin, and Nice, yes, who embarked on a peaceful protest on the 13th of May. We understand that these students are the ones currently facing a disciplinary panel and they are set to graduate. And what the student union body is requesting for,
that they be released.
That they be released, that this should be wiped off their records, and they should be let to, graduate as normal students. Otherwise, other students will feel very threatened, by this particular action of the school, clamping down on students who are just trying to, go about a peaceful protest. Okay,
so that happens to be the 5th position on this resolution of the student union, which they published. So these are the 5 resolution. I think you can call them demands as well, because they are saying that if this is not done, which was signed by these 3, so is the 3 on the 5th paragraph there that have been arrested. So these other 3, the president, the speaker, and the general secretary, are saying this cannot go on. And if they continue with that investigation, they may not graduate. And that is what the student union body is saying. They don't want that to happen. So it's a developing story. We'll bring you a lot more of those ones as soon as we get clarity on any other matter. But let's go ahead and take some of the messages coming through from you. Haven't seen or watched some things that may concern you. Pastor Law Alpha Cross, you did send your message in, and then you were speaking about, I think Pastor Law Alpha Cross was one of the earliest messages that we did get. And so, do you have that one now?
Well, I don't have, well, you can see it here.
Yeah.
It says governors appear to be interested in local government funds as they are for re-election or foisting their loyalists after completion of second tenure. Let there be a constitutional amendment scrapping CX so INEC can conduct all elections. I'm just wondering, why do we have to scrap it? Why don't we make the same demands of CX as we have of INEC?
Yes, well, if they could, I imagine they might have. But Femi also weighs in on this same local government matter. He says, we don't have leaders that can manage people and resources from all levels. So that's his concern about operationalizing local government autonomy.
Yeah, and I think Ayo has the one from Austin.
Yes,
Austin,
he's talking about the economic situation in the country, and his comment is, as long as we have visionless, rudderless, and clueless politicians at the helm, so long shall our dear nation continue to wallow in poverty and economic retrogression. To reap the vast wealth in our mineral resources requires some genuine intellectual effort and planning, which scavenging politicians at the helms don't have the patience to do in their haste to amass as much of the little available resources to their personal accounts. That's from Augustine Abe.
Well, we also see this one from Femi talking about addressing food shortage. He says, the federal government cannot successfully tackle food insecurity without tackling the insecurity issues in the country. He says that what?
Too many trial and error policies in the country.
Oh, dear. He says you open the border today for importation and you close it the next 150 days. You give dollar to BDC operators today. You revoke the licenses tomorrow. Creation of the Ministry of Livestock, he says, no, doesn't buy that. This means another minister, parliament, secretary, budget, and allocation of funds for the running of the ministry. He thinks this is waste of taxpayers' money. No country in the world, he says, has separate livestock away from
separated livestock, yeah.
Okay, so it's...
And he actually says an agency for livestock would have been fine. So not totally against the idea.
That's a popular one among so many people. But there you go. That is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Do have a productive day.